Raised a family here on the shore and have my business. In fact, we're taping this today in the office that was once my medical practice, and here on the shore I've delivered up to I think it was 770 babies in Chestertown. So I've lived here and worked here, and my family's here. I've also been involved with the Democratic Party. I've been elected to office before. I was elected to the Central Committee in Kent County in 2006 and again in 2010. And I've run for this office before. And I've been on the state executive board for the state of Maryland Democratic Party. I was helping Frank Cradaville. I've been helping candidates for years, including, we were just before the camera went on talking about Paul Wellstone back 20 years ago. So I've been involved in Democratic politics my whole life, and not in this kind of way. You know, this is the ultimate involvement, you might say. But yeah, so I think that differentiates me from my opponent. I don't want to be stuck with labels, and I think we need to get past. In fact, there's a group in Congress right now, there's a caucus called No Labels. And John Huntsman was one of the ones pushing this forward. They call themselves problem solvers. And that's how I'd like to see myself, as being a problem solver. And I think that's why, in fact, I'm endorsed by our former Republican Congressman Wayne Gilchrist, who has endorsed me in this race, because he sees me as being someone who can look at an issue, deal with it fairly, analyze the problem, and work to a solution. So I don't want to be pegged as liberal, conservative, whatever. You know, we're all Americans. And, you know, I've been a doctor for over 40 years. And when you're in medicine, you know, there's not a Democrat or Republican way to treat cancer. There's not a Democrat or Republican way to deliver a baby. You know, there's just understanding the problem, talking to people, working it out. Well, you know, starting with Ronald Reagan, some, 30 or so years ago, when he famously said, you know, the government isn't the answer, the government is the problem. There's been this move to point at the government issues as being cumbersome, ineffective, inefficient, whatever. Well, look, I think that government has a role, and it can be a role for good in people's lives. There are many programs that we rely on that are very important that couldn't be done without the federal government. So we need a federal government. We need one, though, that deals very respectfully and is a good steward of the people's money. Yeah, I know. Well, you know, people have this idea right now, and I totally agree with them. They feel that there's too much regulation. Some people feel like they're overtaxed. It's been burdensome for families because, you know, David, we really haven't come all the way back out of the last recession. I mean, on paper, it looks like we have. You know, the economists say that we've been out of recession already for years. But for the people that I was seeing in my office day after day, and I hear their stories, and they tell me, you know, what's going on in their life. It's tough. It's tough. And so I certainly relate to that. Okay? And government isn't the answer for everything. Obviously, we need to be resilient, and everybody needs to do their fair share, but I think everybody needs to get their fair shake. You know, the thing you're talking about is people have been, what's the word? I think people have been talking a lot about, or if you listen to certain sources, let's say Fox News, for example, you know, you hear get government off our back, and you hear liberty, liberty, liberty. Okay, well, look, you know, liberty's great. That's important. Hey, this is part of what our country's founded on. But you know, in the Pledge of Allegiance, how does it end? With liberty and justice for all. So, okay, liberty, yeah, but we need justice for all. And without that, you don't have the whole picture. So I think a lot of people who are focusing on liberty, get government off my back, they're not really looking at the whole picture. And we need to realize that we're all in this together, and we can all move forward together. But just pointing fingers at government, that's not the answer. I'm quick to say to people that as a physician, I feel a little defensive about it because, you know, but what happened was an IT problem and not really a healthcare problem. And actually, the Healthcare Reform Act, you know, doesn't really address provision of healthcare as such, so much as it does access to health insurance. So it's really a health insurance law. And the problem we're having in our country is one of access, and this is helping access. This is helping millions of people who had no insurance at all and were just waiting for, just hoping that nothing bad would happen to them, getting by day to day, week to week, and literally being one illness away from bankruptcy, you know. And now they're going to have some insurance, and this is a positive. That's the positive part. And there are many positive parts to the Affordable Care Act. For instance, allowing kids to stay on the policy up until age 26. Eliminating the deniability for pre-existing conditions, for example. These are all very good things. So there are changes that need to be made, but I think, Dave, that the real focus for our country now has to be on reducing the healthcare costs. Healthcare costs have been going up at a rate greater than inflation for the past 40 years. And we can't allow that to continue because it's just mathematically that's going to eat up too much of our gross domestic product, and it's out of balance. Well, okay, there are definitely things that need to be done, and Obamacare, I think, is just the start. I mean, like I said, it deals with access and health insurance, and I think the basic idea behind Obamacare is a good one. Because let me tell you, I just saw people in my office every day who were falling between the cracks. They did not have enough wealth to buy private insurance, but they were working, and they maybe were in a small company, or their employer didn't offer insurance, and they weren't poor enough to qualify for Medicaid. So where were they? And they didn't get in some, you know, in our country we have such a big hodgepodge with the, you know, we have the VA and Medicare, Medicaid, private insurance, TRICARE, all different kinds of, it's a very complicated mix. But this is how it is, and we've got to move forward. But in answer to your question, are the things that need to be done? Absolutely. You know, if you look at the healthcare outcomes in many other countries of the world, they have better health outcomes than we have. What am I talking about? Talking about longevity, you know, life expectancy, babies' health, number of people, the obesity rate, the cancer rate. We got people doing better in other countries at lower costs. So when we see that, you've got to realize there must be an opportunity for us to reduce our healthcare expenditures, but at the same time improve the general health of everybody. And we can do it. We can do it. And I've got the kind of background because not only have I been a physician looking after patients, but my background also includes public health. And when you're in public health, instead of just the patient sitting in front of you, the whole community becomes your patient. And so this gives a little different perspective, and I have that in my background, and I'm eager to get to be your congressman, to get there to start working on these problems. That's a terrific question, because, you know, when I was in this very building we are now, this was my private office, and so I had to figure out ways to you know, make a budget and hire and fire people and make things work and deal with regulatory agencies and so forth. So I definitely have an appreciation of the small business owner here on the shore. There are a number of things that we can do to boost our economy here on the shore, because, you know, the unemployment rate in Maryland is a little bit better than the rest of the United States, marginally better, around 6.5%. But here on the shore, that's not the case. And in fact, most counties are somewhere between 8 and 12% unemployment rate, which is terrible, terrible. And that really needs to be fixed. So how can you do it? Well, there's some very specific things we can do. One thing, and this has been done in certain cities, like I believe Boston, for example, Chattanooga, Tennessee, and they increased their availability of access to high-speed internet, broadband. And you know, here on the shore, we have a fiber optic line. You probably know this. It's been laid in the ground. It goes all the way up and down. But does it connect to people? No. And we've got to get work done on that. So getting the work done puts people to work. But also, when you get these into schools, hospitals, police stations, fire departments, farmers, teenagers, everybody's going to benefit. We need to get up to the 21st century. That will attract businesses that want to come here because they can actually function and operate here, and they don't have some antiquated, you know, dial-up modem or something like that. So that's one thing that could be done. we have many projects that could be done where we could build green energy, and we're doing some of this. You see these solar panels popping up here and there. The wind farm that's proposed in eastern part of Kent County. I'm very concerned about the wind farm down in Somerset that looks like the state legislature voted to repeal. I'm sorry, to well, they put in a 15-month moratorium. Now the governor hasn't signed it yet, and I would encourage him not to, because I think we need to move forward, and it would be a great boon to the economy of Somerset County, which really, really needs a boost. Well, I tell you what, we're going to be doing a poll next month, and I'm going to find out, because this is kind of a mirror reflecting what do people think about you. Right now, I'm not sure. I know what my family, I know how my dog thinks about me. Pretty good.
It's the only one I can do.
And so that's a very good question. I would say right now, I would like to just get more people in the district to know who I am. Because what I've found, Dave, when I'm in a group of people and we get to talk, they say, hey, we'd like to have you as our congressman. But there's a lot of folks out there who've never met me. So, so in part, let me thank you for being here with your video camera, because this is an opportunity for me to get myself out to more people. So I thank you very much. Well, you know, David, I think this time we're doing it the right way. Last time I got into it because nobody else was stepping up to the plate, and I just feel very strongly that our current representation is just not what our country needs, or certainly does not represent me or our district. And I felt so strongly about it, I said, well, it's time to do something about it. I won't go over all the events of last election because it was irregular, let's say. But you know, it was a learning experience. And from that opportunity, and what I learned was how to do it right. So this time I said, okay, I can do this. I'm the person to do it. I'm ready to do it. Let's go.